Every story appears ordinary until you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
A very good evening to you and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News. I am Nena Oragwa. On our top stories tonight. Thank you so very much for joining us tonight. President Muhammadu Buhari has vowed that all those involved in the passing of the 2016 national budget will face the most severe punishment. Addressing the Nigerian community in Saudi Arabia, President Buhari condemned the distortion of the budget proposals by entrenched interest. The president says the unauthorized alterations had completely changed the document from the one he presented to the National Assembly. Reaffirming its government's zero tolerance for corruption, President Buhari says the war against corruption is a monumental task and is determined to tackle it successfully. The president affirms efforts to diversify the economy, stressing that more opportunities are now open for local and foreign investors in the country. Also, President Muhammadu Buhari says the administration is fully committed to increasing the productivity of Nigeria's agriculture and solid mineral sectors to save the nation from the harsh effect of lower crude oil prices. Speaking at the meeting with leading members of the Council of Saudi Arabia's Chambers of Commerce and Industry, the president says with declining revenues from crude oil exports, Nigeria's hopes of economic resurgence now lie in the rapid development of its immense agricultural and solid mineral resources. Inviting Saudi Arabian businessmen to invest in both sectors, the president says his administration will welcome greater foreign investment in support of his efforts to rapidly diversify the Nigerian economy. The federal government says the Chinese government should partner it to help in developing the tourism and culture sector, just as it had been doing in infrastructure development. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed, while welcoming the Chinese ambassador to Nigeria on a visit to his office to expand bilateral relations, made this known. President Muhammadu Buhari has embarked on several trips which, according to the Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, says it is for the cause of winning investors, improving the economy and collaborating with others in order to help fight terrorism. In a flagship program called Digest, these analysts also share their views.
Mixed reactions have continued to trail the bilateral relations of the President Muhammadu Buhari. On a flagship program, Shijibomi Adebiyi says the foreign trips are in accordance with his positive objectives for the entire country.
He wants to fight corruption, he wants to help the economy, and he wants to make sure that Boko Haram and other insurgent groups are eliminated from Nigeria. Now look at all those trips. Check the countries he has been going to. Are they in tandem with what he said he wants to do? I think yes.
For Adebola Adeniyi, he opines that the traveling has nothing to do with the economic progress of the country.
Any traveling that does not mean anything to do with the economy is nonsense. Our economy, and which is our security, yes, investment, yes, relationships and collaboration. If out of this we cannot seize anything out of what I made mention, that traveling is just nonsensical.
Callers of the program also share their views.
We are looking inward. Nigerians are looking inward. But the president and the leaders, they are not looking inward. They are looking outward. I'm telling you honestly. And another thing is the policy and the implementation of policy. They are not helping matters.
9 months now, we are complaining he's traveling here and there. Yeah, we know prior to the handing over, there are a lot of bad image about Nigeria. Now this man is going out to tell them, look, there's a new government in place now. This is my plan. I want to put the country in the right direction.
It is expectations of Nigerians that the president's bilateral talks should be favorable to the economic situation of the country.
Will also continue.
Stalwarts of the ruling All Progressive Congress today held a closed-door meeting with Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. Agenda of the 4-hour deliberations was shrouded in secrecy. Our correspondent Abiola Oluwole tells us more in this report.
One after the other, leaders of the ruling party came into the vice president's wing of the Aso Rock Villa.
Yes.
The closed-door meeting started at about 11 a.m., during which the president of the Senate, Bukola Saraki, made a surprise appearance at about 12:30 p.m. Emerging from the closed-door meeting, none of the party leaders responded to questions from anxious newsmen waiting to get the gist of their gathering.
Not today. What? Okay. No comment. Okay.
Was it about the APC?
No comment. No, but no comment. I came for lunch.
Special advisor to President Buhari on political matters, however, says the meeting is to consult on important issues of national importance.
What we are saying is just a consultative meeting of party leaders. On what issues, sir? Selected party leaders. On what issues? On party matters, on general matters.
So you address the crisis of confidence in the party among the leaders?
No, nothing like that.
Whatever the purpose of the closed-door meeting is, speculations are rife among political waters that the aim is to find a political solution to the travails of Senate President Bukola Saraki, who is facing trial at the Code of Conduct Bureau. From the presidential villa in Abuja, Abiola Oluwole, CoreTV News.
Trouble may just be brewing at the Senate, where accusations and counter-accusations of disobedience to the rules is causing the Ethics and Privileges Committee to set up a disciplinary hearing. Senator Matthew Orugede is seeking redress through the committee to institute disciplinary actions against Senator Kabiru Marafa for granting interviews to the press that are disparaging the Senate. Although Senator Marafa did not appear at the hearing, he's been accused of associating discrepancies in the budget to with the Senate. Jamila Fegboa reports.
Presenting several papers that had Senator Kabiru Marafa's interviews, Senator Matthew Orugede says that as a Senate, sanctions should be placed on members who defame the upper chamber with stories especially regarding the budget and padding.
The Senate has all the competencies. The Senate has its own standing rules. The Constitution is very clear. If you impede on the rights of a citizen, what the consequences should be.
Furtherance to these accusations, a committee was set up to look into the matter. The Ethics and Privileges Committee chairman was seeking to know from the aggrieved senator why it was a matter of pain for him.
The committee will now go into a closed section for us to take next line of action as regards to this issue at hand.
The committee was also baffled as Senator Marafa did not show up at the hearing, having been given a notice.
Please, can you confirm to this committee what is his position about coming?
I called him today after communicating with him in writing and also through text messages. And in one of the responses, he sent his SLA to write a letter, and we have a copy of it, saying that he he will make himself available any other day during the week. And then, because it was a weekend, I had to send text messages twice to say that the meeting had been rescheduled for his sake for today. And when we waited and we were not seeing him, I went outside and called him. And he said, do I have evidence that he's to appear today? I said, yes, I do. And that I've also communicated this SME that we said he should be here today. And then he told me that he really didn't care whatever we're doing here. That's why I ended the communication like that. He doesn't care whatever we're doing.
The committee went into a closed-door session to decide the next line of action. Senator Kabiru Mafara had been telling the press that the Senate was involved heavily in the padding of the 2016 budget. Jamil Afegwa, CoreTV News, Abuja.
It's no more business as usual as the House of Representatives vowing to uncover the $260 million contract awarded by the National Investment Management Services in line with the present regime agenda tackling and eradicating corruption in the system. Our correspondent Emmanuel Ehijene reports. The Nigerian Air Force is optimistic that recent measures against the activities of Boko Haram has weakened the power of the sect to move freely in the country. This is the submission of Nigerian's Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, the maiden retreat for commanders of the force in Abuja. Our correspondent Basil Okafo files in this report presented from our studios.
Fight against insurgency in the country is yielding its desired result, going by the words of the military authorities. The Air Force says the success is as a result of measures which include provision of air support for Operation Lafia Dole in the northeast, as well as the conduct of internal security operations nationwide. To sustain its success on defeating Boko Haram insurgents, the force is embarking on constant training of its personnel.
To substantially curtail the movement of these people who move around to kill people. Yes, suicide bombings are still there, but for them to actually move in large, columns of vehicles and so on is not happening again. And that has enabled our sister service, that is the Army, to really operate more effectively.
The retreat is also geared towards repositioning the NAV as a highly professional and disciplined force through capacity building initiatives. These will boost the morale of the personnel fighting the insurgents in the northeast of the country.
Getting our commanders to appreciate their responsibilities as commanders, to understand what is involved in command. And that is why there are so many resource persons that are here to cover so many subjects, right from command, responsibilities, procurement procedures, accounting procedures in the Air Force, the responsibilities of a commander, and so on.
The world waits to see if these measures will bring an end to the activities of Boko Haram insurgents in the country and restore peace fully to all parts of Nigeria.
After shunning the inaugural sitting of the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into the clashes between the Islamic Movement and the Nigerian Army on December 12 to 14 in Zaria, the Shiite group today made its first legal appearance at a second public hearing holding in Kaduna. The Judicial Commission of Inquiry, it to be recalled, had adjourned sitting on Monday to afford the candidates of the Islamic Movement access to their clients, Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakzaki, which will also serve as a basis for filing in their memorandum. Theophilus has more in this report presented from our studios.
Well, the issue is, I think the issue is quite clear. It is not possible for us to give any kind of representation to the movement if we do not meet with the client, notwithstanding the number of years or months that the commission has to work. Of course, for us to be able to give a proper representation to the Islamic Movement of Nigeria, we must have an opportunity of meeting with our client. I think notwithstanding the fact that the commission has 6 weeks to work, it is imperative that we are given an opportunity of meeting with our client, because there is no possible representation that can be given, to the Islamic Movement without a meeting with our client.
The good thing about it all is that the Islamic Movement appeared today, and we will wait to see what happens on Monday. But for us, as an umbrella body of Islamic organizations, we have given an assurance and undertaking that we'll do everything possible to ensure that before Monday, the council, the lawyers to the Islamic movement have access to their leader because it's their constitutional right.
So the first thing to do is to grant you, to enable you to have access and interact with your client.
I'm most grateful.
In order to take instructions from him. And because you give the indication that it is likely that you have access and see the client before the end of the week or by the end of this week.
Yes, sir.
CoreTV news on this hour continues shortly after this break. To stay with us.
The Federal Inland Revenue Service FIRS calls on all corporate organizations operating in Nigeria to register for the purpose of payment of taxes and obtain a tax identification number TIN. All registered companies must obtain a tax identification number immediately from the nearest FIRS office. You can also collect and return tax registration forms from the Federal Inland Revenue Service Engagement and Enlightenment Tax Teams (FEET) on compliance checks exercise in your area. A company which is yet to commence business after at least 6 months of incorporation must pay a pre-operational levy of 20,000 naira in the first year and 25,000 naira for subsequent years to obtain its tax clearance certificate (TCC). Note that filing and payment of VAT and withholding tax returns must be done on or before the 21st day of every month. Register for VAT. File all tax returns as and at when due. Be a responsible corporate citizen of Nigeria. It pays to pay your tax. This message is from the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
Are you aware that the death percentage attributed to Lassa fever cases is currently put at 43.2%, a figure considered very high? Lassa fever, an acute viral illness characterized by high fever, muscle aches, mouth ulcers and bleeding in the skin, is harbored by rats and spread to humans via the urine and droppings of rats. To prevent Lassa fever, avoid any exposure with rodents, rats, as well as food and objects contaminated with rat secretions and excretions. Report all suspected cases of Lassa fever immediately to the nearest healthcare institution. Help prevent Lassa fever. This message is from the Federal Government of Nigeria.
You're still watching CoreTV Primetime News. A quick recap of our top stories. For more news stories and information, join us on the social media platforms, facebook.com/CoreTV News, on Twitter at CoreTV News NG, and on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/CoreTV Space News. 7 district heads in Taraba State are losing their seats for allegedly allocating lands belonging to internally displaced persons to unidentified persons in their domains. Taraba State correspondent reported the Governor Darius Ashako took the action to avoid the risk of sabotaging the administration's peace efforts. He reports.
In the wake of insurgencies in the northeast, many people sacked from their home relocated to other parts of the country. Many of the host states allocated lands for the settlement of these internally displaced persons to give them some form of comfort away from home. Security reports reaching the state governor is showing that some traditional rulers in the domains where some of the IDPs are being relocated are selling off the lands, much to the dismay of the state government.
And therefore, I cannot sit down here in comfort of the government house while mercenary-like people are imported into the state to create anarchy and destabilize the government.
The governor maintains that the traditional institutions are supposed to be helping governments keep the peace of the state rather than perpetuating war between people.
Based on the security reports that I have received, the following districts and villages have been suspended from office for the next 3 months. Bakundi Chiefdom, 1. The district head of Kungana, 2. The district head of Takalafia, 3. The district head of Mehula, 4. The village head of Sabandali. Gasol Chiefdom, 1. The district head of Tela, 2. The village head of Sandirede, 3. The village head of Taka. The following will receive their letters from the Bureau of Local Government.
The district heads are being suspended following a security meeting in the state capital. Udwa Godwin, CoreTV News.
The last minute have been heard on the fallout of revelations made by ex-Wa Secretary of the People's Democratic Party in Ekiti State, Tokpe Aluko. This time, State Council of Obas at the banking claims that the embattled secretary garnered support from the traditional rulers to pitch against Governor Ayodele Fayose.
Traditional rulers play mediation roles to ensure peaceful coexistence of all within their community. But when they are dragged into controversies, issues become more dramatically complicated. Tension seems to be brewing in Ekiti as a result of a recent publication putting the Obas in the line of fire. Ekiti Council of Obas are not taking the news alleging their support for former PDP State Secretary Tokpe Aluko lightly at all.
The Ekiti State Council of Traditional Rulers says without equivocation that the content of that publication is a blatant lie, a fabrication arising from the imagination of the writer. It is also a deliberate attempt to smear the image of the traditional rulers.
The Obas talk tough on the publisher of the said report.
The Ekiti State Council of Traditional Rulers demands an immediate retraction of the publication and a public apology.
Only time can tell if the publication will be retracted or not. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ado Ekiti.
The Plateau State House of Assembly has constituted a committee to investigate the immediate and remote causes of acute water shortage in Jos and its environs. In spite of the enormous amount sunk into water projects in Plateau State, potable water is still beyond the reach of the residents. During the immediate past administration of Jonah Jang in the state, Plateau was among the states that benefited from 8 billion European Union water-assisted projects. Yet, potable water is still a scarce commodity across the state. The reports.
Moving the motion on the floor of the House, member representing Jos North constituency, Ibrahim Baba Azad, says the hardship his people are going through in search of potable water is too much, especially considering the huge resources pumped into the sector by the previous administration.
Honestly, Mr. Speaker, if you go to my constituency, just not constituency, you see children and women as early as 4 o'clock lining up for water. We are the state government, which that contract was awarded to one Chinese firm.
The motion attracted the sympathy of many members who unanimously agreed that the House Committee on Water Resources be asked to look into the matter. Presiding over the day's sitting, Deputy Speaker Yusuf Gagdi summed up the position of the House and said on reference the committee would be working
that the House Committee on Water Resources should be given majority leader 2 weeks within which to investigate the reason behind water scarcity, which will include what the minority leader rightly say and the mover of the motion. That, of course, government is a continuous process. And aside being continuous process, why will an institution that have benefited from long sort of this magnitude?
Many in the state wonder why the Simon Lalong administration is silent on the huge resources pumped into the water project by the former administration without providing water for the people.
The drive to engineer and prevent recurrent accidents has drawn stakeholders in the aviation sector to work on an amendment of air accidents and incidents regulations of 2006. Speaking at a one-day workshop on draft amendments to the regulations in Lagos, the Minister of State for Aviation, Hadi Sirika, reviews that the amendment process has been duly followed as stipulated in the subsisting regulation. While charging the participants, he emphasizes the importance of air safety in Nigeria. Our correspondent, Sarah Ayeku, brings us more.
At this juncture, I believe all relevant amendments and conformity with ICAO Annex 13 on accident investigation, which has been included in this draft amendment before us today. I implore you all to do justice and make a valuable contribution to the draft amendment to further improve the sector in the aviation industry.
Stakeholders in the aviation sector gather to dissect and amend the Air Accidents and Incidents Regulations of year 2006. The review, which will bring it in line with the International Civil Aviation Organization updates, will enable Nigeria conform to international standards and recommended practices.
AIB comes out with their regulation. It will be a summary of that to form part of the regulation, because the DG of NCAA could not be the one making regulation for accident, because the DG's regulation could be the causal factor for an accident.
While various issues bordering on the regulations of air accidents and incidents were raised, the Commissioner of the Bureau states the importance of collaboration of other agencies in ensuring air safety.
Other organizations don't actually know the role of AIB, so we have issues with them, and I think writing or having an MOU with these organizations, other agencies who participate in this accident, will be very useful for us. Some of the agencies are still there, but we are willing to reach out to all of them to have an understanding MOU that would help us with the accident investigation.
It is not unusual to find many people eager to know the cause of air accidents within a matter of days. Hence, the definition of AIB's duties in the proposed regulation is as important as the functions of other parastatals in the aviation industry, and collaboration of various stakeholders is a sure way forward for this sector. Sarah Ayeku, CoreTV News, Lagos.
Kwara State government has flagged off training of helicopter pilots at International Aviation College in Ilorin, the state capital, to reduce reliance on foreign technical training. Governor Abdul Fattah Ahmed, who urged aviation stakeholders to engage the services of indigenous pilots, notes that taking advantage of such facilities, structures and personnel would not only be a boost to the Nigerian aviation sector, but also save the country a lot of resources. Meanwhile, the Chief of Logistics, Rear Admiral Godi Anyekbere, who represented the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Ibok Ekwe-Ibas, says the choice of the college was informed by the quality of personnel and facilities at Ilorin International Airport. He laments how the Navy has been training its personnel abroad since its existence, adding that the need to develop local capacities in line with national policy informed the establishment of the college. The Lagos state government is taking the fight to end violence against children to another level. For the launch of End Violence Against Children campaign, the state becomes the first to heed the call of President Muhammadu Buhari for all and sundry to rise in the protection of Nigerian children. Our correspondent Victoria Solomon files in this report presented from our studio. Children suffering from one form of domestic violence and another now have a respite. The launch of End Violence Against Children campaign by the Lagos State government on Wednesday raises hope that children can grow up without fear of harm. In his remarks, Governor Akinwumi Ambode, who was represented by Sani Eshiloko, noted that the governor is ready to make sure justice is served to perpetrators guilty of violence on children.
Lagos State will continue to strengthen the capacity of our institutions to ensure effective enforcement of our laws, with a view to ensuring that no offender is allowed to escape justice. One of such institutions, which was recently established and has been working as a trustee in this regard, is the Domestic and Sexual Violence Response Team.
United Nations Secretary General on Violence Against Children Representative Malta Santos Pius confirmed the decision of the body to support the government.
First of all, to the government is, on the one hand, to commend this very important step. It was with the leadership of the government that the survey was conducted and was presented, and we are discussing it. The President himself launched a year of action to end violence against children last September. But this is just the beginning of the road. We need to implement, and each state needs to translate this important agenda in its own context, engaging all actors.
Children also have a role to play.
This program that they are doing is to make parents to protect their children and make them what they want to be.
They shouldn't handle their children because they are not good. And with the children, we need special love. We need our parents to grow, to develop special love for us, and anything we need, they should provide it for us. And now that social media is taking over everywhere, they should watch everything that we do.
Children should speak up. Children should speak up. There is help. The Lagos State Ministry of Women Affairs and Poverty Alleviation has a yellow card, which they can call. In the Ministry of, in the Office of Youth and Social Development, there is a child protection focal person. There are counselors in school that have been trained. Children should speak up. They should know that when they speak up, that they will be helped. The major challenge today is that children are not speaking up because they feel they will not be helped. But I can assure you that we need to assure our children to speak up. When they speak up, they will surely find help.
Lagos has taken the lead. It is hoped that this will be the beginning of better protection for our children. Social media is capable of generating employment for especially the youth, but is a yet-to-be-tapped avenue for generating revenue, according to experts. As Lagos celebrates the Social Media Week, people from all walks of life gather to explore the various opportunities that it offers. A chat with one of the facilitators at the ongoing week-long event reveals a lot. Akionbake brings us mind reports.
From Facebook to Twitter, Instagram to WeChat, YouTube to LinkedIn, social media remains a driving force in information dissemination, business exploration, technology advancement, and many more. Its ability to reach many beyond the walls of individual user makes its potentials enormous. Diola Kayode, an online marketing consultant who is also a facilitator at the Social Media Week Lagos, opens up.
Social media has an opportunity to be able to create jobs. Is that there are opportunities, there are people looking online every day for opportunities, for business, for tools, for partnership, there are people are going online every day to be able to connect with other people, searching for information. So if you are online and you are able to provide that information, if you are online and you are able to provide that tool, if you are online and you have that skill they are always looking for, you always have a business to be able to do. So
social media has practically changed our world.
Social media for Africa is becoming a big deal. Entrepreneurs can reach their customers and reach their audiences at a faster and cheaper, more targeted rate. The money you need to be able to reach 1,000 people 15, 20 years ago has reduced significantly, because before you need to beg editors, put newspapers, but now the tools and the opportunities for you to be able to reach those people are more available.
Now youths can, in the comfort of their space, use the different social media platforms to develop themselves, build a network that would economically engage them, and make friends in the process. It is hoped that these possibilities will be harnessed by Nigerians, employed or not. Akionbake, CoreTV News, Lagos.
On the foreign scene, Syria's president assures Russia of his readiness to respect a ceasefire deal. Bring you details of this and more after this break. To stay with us.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime News.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Is it crazy or autocracy? Or what type of crazy is that?
except crazy.
News making the headlines.
Black Maria is to carry criminals, trading looters that are in government today.
Sometimes it gets confrontational.
Slap you in the face. Excuse me, don't put words into my mouth.
Whatever it is that will bring our military to the secret. I said to hell.
On Core Digest.
I want to know why I should be believing them.
Every weekday, we'll bring all of these together and take them to the court of public opinion.
Everybody have the right in Nigeria.
Where you are the judge.
Glad to have you back on the forum. St. Syria's president has assured Russia of his readiness to respect the ceasefire deal brokered by Moscow and Washington. In a statement today, the Kremlin said there was a phone conversation between Russian President Vladimir Putin and President of the Syrian Arab Republic, Bashar al-Assad. The Kremlin discloses that Assad described the ceasefire as an important step towards a political resolution for Syria's civil war. Putin and Assad, however, emphasized the need to continue an uncompromised fight against the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant Group, the Al-Nusra Front, and other groups which are included in the respective list of the United Nations Security Council. India has announced that women will be allowed to occupy combat roles in all sections of its army, navy and air force. This indicates a radical move to gender equality in one of the world's most male-dominated professions. Indian President Pranab Mukherjee, who announced the move while addressing both houses of the parliament before the budget session, says the government would in the future recruit women for fighting roles in India's armed forces. India, which has one of the largest armies in the world, has previously resisted such a move, citing concerns over women's vulnerability if captured and over the physical and mental ability to cope with the stress of frontline deployments. U.S. health officials are investigating to know if 14 new Zika virus infections may have been transmitted through sex. This investigation raises questions about the role of sex in spreading the disease that has been linked to birth defects in Brazil. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, warns that several of the cases involve pregnant women. The CDC discloses that in 2 of the suspected cases, the infection has been confirmed in women whose only known risk factor was sexual contact with an ill male partner who had recently traveled to an area where the virus was present. Most experts believe that sexual transmission of the illness was rare, but the new alert suggests sexual transmission of Zika may be more of a factor than previously thought. We now move on to sports.
Power style, and that's what he delivered.
A former president of the Nigerian Football Federation, Sani Lulu, has lost his bid to stop corruption trial instituted against him by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. Lulu, alongside a former first vice president of NFF, Amanze Uche-Bulam, a former executive committee member, Taiwo Gunjobi, and ex-NFF Secretary General, Bolaji Ojoba, accused of misappropriating over 1.5 billion naira released by the federal government to the NFF without giving proper account of how the money was spent during the 2010 FIFA World Cup in South Africa. They are also alleged to have siphoned about $125,000 through shoddy hotel bookings in South Africa during the World Cup. Sani Lulu and the others are also accused of flouting due process in the purchase of 2 Marco Polo buses for the national teams, as well as sharing of 185 million naira amongst state chairman of NFF in the futile bid to remain in control of the Football Federation. Justice Evo Chukwu of the Federal High Court, Abuja, dismissed a no-case submission filed against Sani Lulu in his trial for corruption. Arsenal boss Arsene Wenger blames his players for their 2-0 defeat to league champions Barcelona. He blames his team finishing on naivety for their home loss in the first leg of the last 16 tie. Although he admits Barcelona to be a superior side, Wenger believes Arsenal could have won the game. Arsenal fought a hard battle to give themselves a chance of going into the second leg, but suffered at the hands of Barcelona's superstar trio, Messi, Neymar and Suarez. After a snare ruined their chances of going in front, Barcelona superstar Messi put his side in front, scoring his first goal against keeper Peter Cech at the 7th attempt when he crowned a counter-attack involving Suarez and Neymar to sweep home a finish after 71 minutes. 7 minutes later, Arsenal substitute Matthew Flamini brought Messi down with a misdemeanor challenge inside the 18-yard box. Messi stepped up to the spot and sent Cech the wrong way, marking his 8th goal against Arsenal in the Champions League. Manchester City boss Manuel Pellegrini is set to include fit again Ilikwe Mangala as well as other key players for today's Champions League last 16 first leg tie against Dynamo Kyiv. Mangala has been out of action since January 6 due to a hamstring injury. Other Man City players out on injury are Kevin De Bruyne, Jesus Navas, Sami Nasri, Fabian Delph, as well as Wilfred Bony. Manuel Pellegrini rested the star players and included 6 teenagers in the 5-1 FA Cup defeat at Chelsea on Sunday. Justifies his difficult decision to field a weakened team against Chelsea, as he believes it was the only choice he could make at the moment to give his side the best chance to progress in the Champions League. Head coach of rugby team Hull Kingston Rovers, Chris Chester, has been sacked, while assistant coach Willie Pochink has been placed in temporary charge for Friday's home game against St. Helens. Chris Chester was appointed to replace Chris Hancock as Hull KR coach on a 3-year contract in August 2014 after 2 months in temporary charge. He was in charge for 18 months and led the club to last year's Challenge Cup final at Wembley, where they lost 50-0 to Leeds Rhinos. The club in a statement notes that the sole focus of everybody at the club at this time is on Friday's game and securing 2 much-needed points, after which future plans and expectations will follow. And that's it on CoreTV Primetime News, but before we go, a quick recap of our top stories. Thank you so very much for staying with us tonight. I am Nina Oragwa. Do have a beautiful night rest.